And good morning, everybody. Welcome to this Hump Day edition of Sports Shorts Daily. Ronnie Rantz, Tommy Krysan, TK joining us over at Tremonti's Meat and Seafood as he does every Wednesday and Friday here on Sports Shorts. Let's talk a little LSU baseball. Last night I was on the call with Lynn Rollins. LSU lost first game that they lost this year. They're now 8-1 on the season. They had what I think that was a 16-game winning streak snapped by virtue of the McNeese Cowboys and former LSU pitcher and assistant coach Justin Hill, who's in his 13th season at McNeese, the longest tenured McNeese baseball coach in the history of the program, by the way. TK, baseball is an interesting sport. You know, if you look back at the history of LSU baseball, they've lost to the Southern, I think, 3 or 4 times. I believe every coach since Skip Bertman has lost at least one game to Southern. So that's 4 times. Jay Johnson lost a couple years ago. Obviously, Maneri lost to Southern, Smoke Laval and Skip. You have 1995 Louisiana College, which is now Louisiana Christian University. At the time was Division III or NAIA. I'm not sure. So NAIA is what LSU Shreveport plays. Division III would be what like Loyola of New Orleans plays, just to give you a comp of the level we're talking about. And Louisiana College beat LSU 2-1 that year. So LSU's had, plenty of games where they lost to SWAC teams or, opponents that they probably shouldn't have. McNeese is not necessarily at that level, right? McNeese, the Southland Conference team. Justin Hill's won 4 championships in the Southland in his 12 seasons prior. But this was a McNeese team, Tommy, that had won only 2, was 2-5, had just only scored 5 runs in 3 games at home this weekend against Kansas out of the Big 12. And LSU was 8-0 and had played its best game of the year, beat Central Florida 11-0 in 7 innings, 6.5 innings really, on Sunday. We're rolling. Their offense was batted .388 in 3 games this weekend against good competition. And yet McNeese goes out and they're the better team last night and wins. Go figure, baseball.
Well, UCLA got beat last night. Georgia Tech got beat. There were a lot of top teams that lost a midweek game, but Ronnie, we know this. It's baseball. Every day at the park's a new park. And, when you walk 6 guys and hit 5, credit McNeese for scoring some runs with the help of LSU. Didn't even have an extra base hit and put a bunch of runs on the board because of the hit batters and all of that Jake Brown throwing error. But, it's the way baseball goes. LSU was not going to go 56-0. Didn't know when they were going to lose. But McNeese came to town and got it done. And, again, Justin Hill's a good, solid coach. McNeese program's been solid in the Southland for years, and they're going to continue to be. So it is what it is, and LSU going to right the ship against Dartmouth and Northeastern this coming weekend.
I mean, this was definitely a game where LSU, it's easy for them to shake it off. Hey, it's one game, no big deal. Every year you have a couple games that are almost like embarrassing losses. This was a bigger win for McNeese. For the Cowboys, they needed this win, right? Now they're 3-5. They're probably going to play with a lot more confidence. You can let the stink of a sweep at home to Kansas of the weekend kind of go by. Everybody's going to be telling you today and tomorrow in Lake Charles, what a great job it was, what a big win. But more importantly, it gives that program confidence because at the end of the day, for them to make the NCAA tournament, they need to win their postseason tournament, right? They need to win the Southland Conference tournament. It doesn't really matter for McNeese what their record is. They need to just be rolling and playing their best baseball when mid-May rolls around for their conference tournament. And a game like today will go a long way for them. It's interesting. I talked to Justin Hill before the game when I was doing some research, talking to him in front of the dugout, the McNeese coach, and he was like, talking about his team and some of the things, and he said, one of the things he said to me was, I look forward to playing normal teams again, like us, like on our level, right? he's not this AAA team we're playing tonight, talking about LSU, and then they go out and win. That's the beautiful thing about baseball, Tommy. It's that's why they play the game, man. LSU's got 15 pro prospects on the mound, but you only can throw them one at a time. And last night happened to be a night where none of them could throw it over the plate. And you can throw a 95 all you want, but it's got to go over the white part, and they just did not do that.
Well, it matters. What do you do about it? I mean, like you said, you still got to throw the ball over the plate, and when you don't do that, it can come back to bite you. And it bit LSU last night, no question about that. Things are going to happen like that in baseball. The best guy's going to strike out, the best guy's going to miss a grounder one day. It just wasn't a good night. Maybe they got it out of their system. But again, I think just with the doctor audits coming up this weekend with two inferior opponents coming into the box. And, it is what it is. You just tip your hat to McNeese and you let them take that and go. And LSU back to the drawing board today.
It actually, this is not that Jay Johnson wants to lose a game, but he will absolutely take this as a teaching moment, right? LSU feeling good about themselves. We're going to be undefeated going into SEC play. Maybe you're tasting yourself a little bit too much. This is a situation where, he will absolutely humble his team and use this as a teaching moment. All coaches, kind of like a Kim Mulkey, a few years ago when they lost the first game of the year or anything like that, it's sort of something you can use to really get your players' attention. And this is what this game will be.
Well, in LSU, in baseball, you either win or you learn. Okay, you do lose. That's part of baseball, and I agree with you totally. Jay Johnson will spin this into between the ears of the guys, and they'll go from there. I guess the only other thing is, Aaron Beatty, some type of foot injury, pulled himself out of the game, said, "Hey, coach, I can't go." And you want your players to tell you that when they can't go. And, Cerna went in, but, so that's something to be watched on. I know they said Stanfield could be back soon. He's been day to day for like a week. That's what Lynn said last night. But, so hopefully nothing major with Aaron Beatty because he's having a great offensive year. Not the best behind the plate. His mitt's too loose for me, but he's the guy they keep running out there. Hopefully he can be ready for the weekend.
And it was a big miss when he came out of that ball game. Cerna went into the freshman from Houston, who's going to be a great player for LSU, but much like Aaron Beatty this time a year ago, not quite ready, right? Still a little green, a little inexperienced, and he's going to get a lot put on his plate potentially this weekend. But Aaron Beatty's spot in the lineup came up a couple of times in crucial moments in that game yesterday with runners on base, opportunity for, to make a difference. And instead of Aaron Beatty, sophomore, veteran, experienced guy who was really swinging a hot stick at the plate, you got a freshman in Omar Cerna, and Cerna didn't come through. And so, it was a crucial injury. Didn't look major when it happened, but who knows? I mean, we'll find out, or maybe we won't find out because Jay Johnson is like the KGB. He doesn't tell you anything over there. But if he, who knows if he sprained a toe, cracked a pinky toe, broke something, you never know. When you're a catcher, your feet are so important. And so it'll be interesting to see what happens this weekend. LSU's got a 4-game weekend, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday. And if you don't have Aaron Beatty, that's a lot of work for Cerna. No question about it. All right, TK, listen, I'm going to jump off and let you finish. I'm on my way to Lake Charles, got an important, some Gumbo Gator meetings and stuff like that over there. So I'll be back with you on Friday.
All right, sounds good. And LSU men at Ole Miss tonight. Ole Miss a 1.5 favorite in that one. LSU women's basketball hosts Tennessee tomorrow. Major League Baseball, a lot of talk about the ABS, the automated ball strike, and the challenge system. A lot of that going on. NFL scouting combine happening. Pelicans get a straight-up win last night. I'm 3 games under 500 in my year-long bet against the Pelicans scheme. We'll keep you posted with that. As Ronnie said, we'll be back Friday with another episode of Sports Shorts Daily. And don't forget, today's Wednesday, every Wednesday here at Tremonti's, $6.99 for a burger and fries. You can get it here. You can get it to go. Pick up 4 or 5 of them to go. Bring them back to the office. That's every Wednesday, $6.99 burger and fries here at Tremonti. You can't beat that. Of course, they've got the crawfish coming at you on the weekend. Call to reserve some live crawfish. You can order online at Tremonti's.com. All that good stuff's happening for you. Don't forget, radio this Saturday will be at Mr. Carter's Barbershop in Prairieville. Hopefully you can join us as we'll broadcast into Baton Rouge, Lafayette, and Lake Charles. On behalf of Ronnie Rantz, I'm Tommy Krysan, back again Friday with another episode of Sports Shores Daily. Have a great day, everyone.